I teach ukulele and recorder, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
You're listening to That Music Podcast with Bryson Tarbett, the curriculum designer and educational consultant behind That Music Teacher and the Elementary Music Summit. Each week, Bryson and his guests will dive into the reality of being an elementary music teacher and how music can truly be transformative in the lives of the students you serve. Show notes and resources mentioned in this episode can be found at thatmusicteacher.com.
Welcome back to this week's episode of That Music Podcast. We're going to be talking about why I choose to include both recorder and ukulele into my music curriculum. And I have to say there's a short answer and there's answers, so let's dive into it. So first of all, the reason I'm talking about this at all is that I often hear people say that they, especially when I start talking about how much I love teaching the recorder, which I know is not everyone's thing. And there are a lot of people that have replaced ukulele or replaced the recorder in their curriculum with ukuleles. I, on the other hand, I have ukuleles and I do recorders in my curriculum. So I got ukuleles this year in my 5th and 6th grade school. I've been wanting to get them for years, and we finally got them approved, which was wonderful. And it's been a great experience so far, and I can't wait to dive in even more. But I still am really excited to bring recorders into my curriculum. Now, here's the short answer. Why do I do recorders and ukuleles? Well, the short answer is my district does recorder in 4th grade and I have recorders in 5th grade. So they're two different buildings. I'm not going to use them to replace. But even if I was at one school and had the opportunity, I would keep both, because I think that there are inherent values of both instruments. For one, one's a wind instrument and one's a string instrument. So that's a different kind of experience with musical understanding. I am not going to play dumb and understand that, there are benefits of teaching recorder when it comes to building a band program. I don't teach band, and I don't think we should teach recorder specifically for building or getting people ready for band, but I'm not going to say that there aren't benefits. There definitely are things that cross over. But the reason that why I choose to include recorder is that I found it incredibly accessible. My students are able to keep their instruments at the end of the project, at the end of the unit, which I think is great because a lot of my students just don't have instruments at home. These are instruments that they're able to apply that knowledge in a lot of different ways. They're able to go into beginning band. They're able to bring it into a choir setting. They're able to just do recorder and that's it. And that I've been teaching recorder, I found that the students really enjoy because it's play-based. It's we're still doing games and things like that. It's not just kind of this model of just going through a book or something like that. We're actually getting up and moving and using that recorder again as kind of another musical modality. The ukulele, on the other hand, I love that it allows a different, for one thing, we're not doing melodies all the time. We're doing chords, which I think is a really good skill that a lot of these students that maybe they're really not into band, maybe they won't even do choir or anything, but they would love to learn how to do the guitar or play a song that they heard on the radio on the ukulele. The ukulele is an incredibly accessible instrument, especially when it comes to string instruments. It's not that tricky to play a couple chords. We're going to be talking about it in an episode number 123 about ways to differentiate the ukulele. So that's definitely something that to look back on if you're thinking, all right, well, how do I make sure it's accessible to everyone? There are definitely things and concerns there, but I'm going to talk about some of those in that episode. But what I love about the ukulele is that it makes it so incredibly easy to bring in music that they are listening to outside of the music classroom. If you go into YouTube and you type in a song and then put ukulele play along, I'm sure you'll find something. And what I love about the ukulele is you can play a lot of songs with just a few simple chords. If you learn C, A minor, and then G, and maybe throw F in there, like that's 3 or 4 chords, and you can play the majority of the pop songs that students are listening to or that they might ask to play, which I think is really, really makes it really simple and makes it so that they can have a lot of choice, that agency. They're able to choose what songs they play. They're able to give me suggestions over things that, hey, can we play this song in class next time? And I think that's a great way to do that as well. So why ukulele and recorder? Again, short answer, they're at different times. But the longer answer is that I think they allow different forms of musicality, and students that really don't like order, I've seen really latch on to the ukulele. Vice versa, students that really didn't like the ukulele as much, they loved the recorder. So we're allowing students to experience music in a different way, in a different modality, using different instrument styles, because that's what music is, right? It's not just one thing or the other. It's the idea that you can make music in so many different ways with so many different instruments or your voices or a combination of. And when we're able to bring that into our general music setting, that makes it so much more just demonstrative of what music is outside of the music classroom. I think sometimes we get stuck in our high towers, even when we try not, of what music education is, and we forget that music education is music, and music is not just folk songs. Music is not just the things that happens in our classroom. There's music that's happening all around our students, even when they're not in our rooms and in our schools, and we need to include that when we can. And having something like this is really why I enjoy it and why I do both. So again, I know that not everyone has ukuleles. I know that not everyone likes the recorder, but I really think there are inherent benefits of including both into your music curriculum when you're able to. Another reason why I love the ukulele is it's not quite as accessible price wise as a recorder, but you can get a really good ukulele for like $50. So if students wanted to continue and have an instrument at home, more of them would be able to do that. For instance, if we did an instrument like a guitar or something, obviously not everyone's going to be able to afford a ukulele, but it makes it more accessible. It's not like a French horn that's thousands of dollars and things like that. So like, I think there's still a lot of value in that. These are conversations that are going to keep happening. Like I said, I've done recorder since I started teaching, minus the COVID times. But this is my first year ukulele. So I'll be honest, I'm still figuring it out. I still am trying new things and seeing what students kind of interact with the most and what they seem to engage with the most. Really think that there is inherent value including both. Now, if you replace recorder with ukulele, I promise this is not me coming for you. Again, everyone's teaching situation is different. Everyone has different things that they enjoy the most. And I think as long as we're giving students different musical experiences throughout the years, that is the core of it. So if I'm not here telling you that you're a bad music teacher if you're only doing one or the other or neither, but what I am telling you is that I have seen so many students unlock different types of musicality that I didn't know that they quite were able to access. They didn't know that they were able to access because I was able to give them different experiences with music making. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you enjoyed the episode, I would love if you left us a review wherever you're listening to now. And if you haven't joined us inside That Music Teacher community, I want to extend a formal invitation to join us. That Music Teacher community is a growing library of professional development specifically for elementary music teachers, and also a community. We're able to talk with each other and kind of support each other and understand where we're coming from and have that, essentially a kind of like a professional learning community that we actually all want to be a part of. Because it's people that are in our situations. So if you haven't joined us inside That Music Teacher community, check out the link in the description, or you can head over to thatyear.com and find the information to join there as well. With that being said, thank you so much for listening. I hope you've had a wonderful time. You have a great week. And in case nobody has told you lately, thank you so much for making a difference in the lives of the students that you teach.